The replacement belting came for the cutter grinder. It's the 4mm textured belt. Alright, it's time to cut the new belt and see if I can screw it up or get it to work. Spoiler alert, it worked. So initially I was trying to cut it with the knife and cutters and it was not getting a square end, and I really wanted a square end. So then I got this thing out, because that's supposed to be doing for trim, and that worked much better for the square ends. And then this was not the best way, but I got it to melt using a lighter, and then realized you can't blow out things if you have a mask on, so I had to pull the mask down. But I got it worked, and then I was working on trying to get the excess cleaned off, and there was a bunch of different ways that I finally got to work. The file was good for the final things, but yeah. Looks like it worked. Well, for a first time, that didn't go too horrible. At a distance, it's not super easy to see where the joint is. It's there. But before I go too much further with stuff, and probably only one person will think this is funny, but I used to work at Critical Path ages and ages ago, and I still have a lighter that they had. So over 20 years old. Yeah, well over 20 years old, and it still works, and it's not refillable. I was able to melt it good, but before I go too much further, because this is a stretchy belt. This one is not. The one that's on here is definitely not a stretchy belt. So I'm not 100% sure how well a stretchy belt will work. Before I go too much more on cleaning up this edge and getting it, completely flat with the rest of the belt, and I did actually get it lined up decently well too. Before that, I'm going to get this off and just see if it'll even fit or if this is the right size, and then see how badly it impinges on this thing. I'm going to guess pretty bad, and I'm going to have to cut that off. And now it's time to take the old parts off and get the old belt off. And I had to move it around, but luckily I had the tools for that, and eventually figured out with WD-40 and tightening and loosening, the spacer came off. And then try the belt. And test for vibration a bunch of different ways. I was able to get that off. I needed to use a bit of WD-40 to tighten and loosen that to get that, I don't know, whatever you want to call that, off. And the order of spacing is the grinding disc, and then this thing with the raised part facing outward, and that locks in to the spot, the key on here, and then this tightens over it with obviously the hole facing outward. Got that off. I got the belt on. I didn't have to move the motor. The stretchiness was a plus there. Had the pulley and everything on, and there was a little bit of vibration. I don't know how this ran with the other motor because I didn't have a 3-phase source, and I never saw it running. So for all I know, it's supposed to have a little bit of vibration, but I'm noticing that after I took the pulley off and the key out and everything, the motor into this piece has a slight vibration, and it's a motor, it's going to have some, but since this is supposed to be a precision grinding thing, I'm assuming less vibration is better. I know that the vibration I'm feeling is not the pulley because the pulley is off. I took that off, and the pulley on with the belt felt about the same as with the belt off, and the vibration. And the vibration felt about the same with the pulley off and just the motor. So I don't think that the slight out of round that this is that I see is causing a big problem. That's probably causing part of the belt flutter that you saw in the video. So I'm still going to try and solve some of those things. But first I decided, okay, the original motor was hard bolted and hard mounted to this piece. But I'm going to try and put some cork in between to try and dampen it slightly. I mean, obviously, if you have it tight, I'm not sure how much cork is going to help. But I'll try it and see. If it makes no difference, I might take it back out. All right, now time to try and add some vibration dampening. I got it to work. Just using some cork. And I'm not sure it actually did much, but it's something, so we'll see how it goes. It didn't really seem to make that much of a difference. When I run it with that, it still has some vibration. So I'm going to assume it's okay. I'm going to, for now, leave the cork in. Now put it back together. And now that we got the vibration dampening attempt in there, time to put everything back on. That all worked good. Yep. That's what I thought. That's in the way. So that's definitely going to have to come off. Yeah. And initially I thought this might have been aluminum, but now I think it's cast iron maybe, because this is heavier than what I would think aluminum would be. And now it's time to take the end off. Hacksaw worked great. I think this is cast iron because it filed and cut very easily. Once I got that off, put it on, and that all worked good. It lined up good. Then I tested it, and there we go. We'll see how it does. Well, it runs, and taking that off means that it doesn't impact the belt, which is good. And the belt does not flutter back and forth at all. It's very much a straight line shot, and it's not even really fluttering a whole lot this way either. So I think that's pretty good. So given that, I will shut it down, take it off, and try and clean up the interface a little bit better, and then that should be good, I hope. Well, I used a file and cleaned it up some. You can see it slightly, and you can feel it, but there's enough give. I don't think it's going to cause a problem. It definitely does not. Well, when I was running it earlier before I cleaned it up a little bit more, there was no vibration on the belt, no much of anything. It just worked. Like it was a solid line this way and a solid line up and down. It wasn't really flapping, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. And I do think that means I got this lined up correctly. It looks about right. Like I said, if it was moving or pulling away or anything, I think that would be one thing, but I think I got it. I think I got the angles right. And here is what taking that off looks like. That was really soft, so I'm thinking this is cast iron, which would explain how heavy it is. But that filed really quickly, and I don't think just regular steel would have done that. Next thing, put it all back together and then learn how to use it. I don't have anything to put in it. That's the problem. All of the collets have round pieces, and I don't have anything really round to stick in there. Maybe a drill bit, but all my drill bits I think are okay. So, and this isn't really supposed to be for drill bits anyway. This may not be something I keep long term, but at least I got it working, and it was a fun project to get working. And now I have round belt, not that I needed it for anything else. Now I know how to do this for this or future stuff. And now it's time to put the pieces back on. Allen keys, everything, then we're good. Well, there we go. I still don't know where I'm going to keep this for the cutter grinder. I mean, I got this stand with it. The cutter grinder plus motor is heavy. This stand has no wheels. This is not the best place for it. I'm going to have to move it around. I still have to figure out the stand, but pulley and belt works. And it runs smooth and straight. I was able to get this interface where I joined the belt together cleaned up pretty good. So I think that'll be fine. I was able to get this wheel off and back on, and that went okay. And having taken that extra part off that was used for the dust collection system that I don't have and probably will never get because, again, from the 60s, most people don't have those for sale. I think if I'm going to use it, I'll just move it out towards the garage and have fans blowing stuff so that it goes outside versus, making too much of a mess. And then just wear my respirator and stuff the times I do need to work on things. Now I guess I just have to learn how to use it and get it cleaned up more because, as you saw during the work, just everything is filthy. Everything needs take apart and clean, and I don't know how much I'm going to use it. I don't know how worth it is to fully clean it up. I do need to figure out how to use it though, so that's going to be on my list. The part that I wasn't sure on was new motor plus new pulley and new belt. That worked. Everything else is just how do I use the tool and do I have a need for the tool. But the projects, that was successful. So that's awesome.